Hey guys, it's Becca, and I'm an intern here for the summer. So I'm here with Whitney, and I'm going to ask her a few questions about TEFLPros. And yeah,
Yeah, so let's just hop in. So, Becca, this is our second installment here. So, I'm getting a little more comfortable, but
a little
I think
bit.
I still feel a little weird being on this side of the equation. I keep having this urge, guys, to ask Becca a question, and it's meant to be, her project, her thing.
Yeah,
She's
I'm in
asking
charge
me.
here.
It's my teacher instinct, it's hard to turn it off. All right, so
Yeah, so
hit me
let's
with your
just
questions.
start off with a simple one here.
Okay.
What is TEFLPros in a nutshell?
Okay. So TEFLPros is a high quality online TEFL training course. So it is 120 hours of training. It's fully accredited. And really, our goal as an organization is to bring the in-person TEFL training experience to the online space. In a nutshell, a lot of people that work with us, Becca, they are looking for a high quality training. Like they really want to dig in and learn the skills that they need to be a successful teacher. But maybe for whatever reason, could be just like their lifestyle or their stage in life, they can't take 4 weeks out of their life and go to a training center to accomplish that. So they need it to have some flexibility so that they can fit it in with their day-to-day life.
Yeah, awesome. So talking about flexibility, how much work, like a week, do you, I guess, recommend for students to set aside to do the coursework?
That is a great question, and it's honestly a really difficult question for me to answer. But we can just look at a couple of examples. So let's say you're like Becca and you are, a rising senior, or you have just finished your university studies. Maybe you've got a break in your schedule. You don't necessarily want to travel to a training program. You'd like to do it online. Maybe you've got a summer job, but you've got some time each day to dedicate to your studies. So in that case, we would recommend a 4 to 6 week timeline for completion. And that's with you putting in some time each and every day to your studies, maybe in the evenings, maybe you've got some extra time on the weekends that you can put towards it. Now let's shift gears and speak to folks that, are a couple decades older, maybe more like in my age category and above. So we do get a lot of folks on our course who are working professionals. Maybe they are juggling a full-time job, a family, just different responsibilities that do take obviously a lot of time out of their day, and they want to do their TEFL simultaneous with that. So in cases like that, Becca, we're really going to recommend that people pick a pace that is achievable, that is reasonable for them. So maybe they set a goal of finishing their course in 3 months. So let's say that we're setting the goal of a 3-month timeline for someone that's a working professional. That would equate to doing roughly 1 module of work per week. We've had plenty of people complete the course within that timeline. And we've also had folks that get started with that timeline in mind, and then life happens and they need to take a couple weeks off, because life gets a bit hectic. And so it ends up taking them a little longer than that. But that's why we really pride ourselves in being flexible. And that's another reason why we offer such an extended period of access to the course.
Yeah, awesome. So it's definitely a work at your own pace type of course, which is so nice, especially in this day and age with so many things going on. Kind of answered a couple of my other questions here. But
don't blame me. I'm a teacher. We're communicators by trade.
So just anyone could come on and, order your TEFLPros like course and anything. Do you need any other like qualifications, or just anyone can do it?
Yeah, that's a really great point. So we do require a few things. And then there are also some things just to keep in mind that are going to better your chances in the job market. So for one, on our end, we do require our participants to be 18 years or older. We do require that you either be a native speaker of English or a fluent non-native speaker. If you are a non-native speaker, we're definitely in favor of you being an English teacher as long as you're fluent in the language. And fluency can obviously be subjective in some sense, but take a look on our website under our FAQ section, because we do give some pointers. If you've ever taken an English proficiency test like the IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, any of those, we do give some suggestions in terms of levels of proficiency that you would want to be hitting. And then in terms of, oh, my brain is kind of drifting here. I'm trying to think. Okay, in terms of like, what do you need to join our course? We require that you go through a strategy call with our team. And on these strategy calls, we're going to work through those details with you. We're going to ask some questions to get a better idea of your background and what's really motivating your interest in getting TEFL certified. If you've done much research, you will probably be able to tell that we really focus on quality. So we are very committed to working with students who have a heart for serving others, who really want to make a difference in the world. They're not necessarily just looking to do it because they want to travel. I mean, I get it. I got started in this industry because I wanted to work overseas, but I also took that role as a teacher very seriously. So on your strategy call, we do kind of dive in and get into those deeper elements at play, and really try to focus on what your goals are and how are you approaching getting into this field. Also, in terms of the industry, it's good to understand what employers are really looking for. So when they're hiring, they typically are looking for three things. One, they want you to have a certification. So like your TEFL certification. Two, they want you to be a native English speaker or a fluent non-native speaker. And then the third one is that oftentimes there is a bachelor's degree requirement. Now, not all countries have this. You know, we get this question a lot. There are opportunities to teach without a bachelor's degree, but there are a lot of countries that do require it. So it's something that you want to bear in mind. If you do not have a bachelor's degree, definitely go online, do your research, see if those countries that don't require it are of interest to you or not. And just to give a little backstory on that, so a lot of times this bachelor degree requirement sends some question marks flying with people. They're like, okay, but this says that I need a bachelor's degree, but not in teaching. It just has to be a bachelor's degree. Like what's up with that? I don't understand it. A lot of times governments will set the standard of like, if we're going to give someone a 1-year teaching visa, they have to have a bachelor's degree to go along with it. Now, the TEFL serves as your teacher training element, but the bachelor's degree just, I guess, adds legitimacy in some governments' eyes, you know, to that visa process. So those are the three key things that schools are often looking for. So we definitely do our best to educate people on those strategy calls about that. And then beyond that, if you are able to have some experience to bring into it, that's great. You can also do volunteer teaching while you're on your TEFL. We're always sharing different opportunities for that with our participants. So that's something that you can do while you're on your TEFL course to better your chances in the job market.
Oh, awesome. Just real quick, last one, going back to strategy calls. I know you love to connect with the students and actually see them, you know, face to face, face to computer. But why do you think those are so important?
You're talking about the strategy calls or our coaching calls?
Both.
Both.
Sure. Or what is the difference?
I'm putting her on the spot here. Yeah. So strategy calls are for folks before they join the program.
Okay.
And whereas coaching calls are what you have open to you each week as a participant on the course. So with that in mind, what do you want to ask me?
Coaching calls.
Okay.
Yeah. So why are those so important? Why do you think, people should use those to their benefit?
Okay. Yeah. That's a great question. So coaching calls are really our way of bringing the trainer to you in an accessible and flexible fashion. So the coaching calls are hosted twice a week, every week on Zoom, and they're there for you when you need them. So this is not a situation where you have mandatory calls that you have to attend each and every week. Instead, let's say you start studying, you've set that 3-month timeline for yourself and you really want to hold yourself accountable. Maybe you set a goal of submitting 1 question a week to one of those calls. Or maybe you set a goal of attending one of those calls because you can fit it into your schedule. They're really helpful for folks because it allows you to dig a little deeper into the material. It also allows you to not get hung up on maybe a smaller detail that is stressing you out. Learning how to teach is a complicated process. Mm-hmm. And we often find that, different learners struggle with different things. So you might really be struggling with receptive skill lesson planning. And then once you get over that hump, you move into, learning how to teach speaking lessons, and that just clicks right away for you. And you're like, oh, well, this was easy peasy, but that other stuff was really confusing. We don't want you, when you're in that really confusing part, to, be banging your head against the wall and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I suck at this. I don't think I can do it. We want you to bring those anxieties and stresses and concerns to your coaching calls so that we can work with you. And you might make some fun friends along the way. It's always great when folks join those calls and they get to meet other classmates and hear other points of view. And just, a lot of times it ends up going into some discussion on maybe a topic that we weren't expecting it to, turn into. Yeah. And so people have a fun time on those calls. We really enjoy them ourselves. And I think people get a lot out of them.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to us. And thank you, Whitney, for answering all my questions.
You're very welcome, Becca. Thanks for having me.